This is the
Sexes
Sexes Podcast, hosted by two exes
who know love, loss,
and everything in between.
Let's talk relationships where love gets messy,
Honest, and a little hilarious. Hello, and welcome to our episode of the Sexes Podcast. It's our first episode.
The intro.
Yeah, that's it. Who the heck are these people? That's the question we're trying to answer today. And why are we doing this?
Exactly. Why are we doing this?
It's like we've talked about this before, and it's one of those things where it's been a long time coming. Like, I think many of our conversations have been had behind doors or with friends and people that we meet. And they say, like, maybe you guys should start a podcast. So here we are.
That 1,000 times when we'd go traveling and we'd get into these deep conversations about love and sex and polyamory and threesomes and everything. And you and I would just be bouncing back and forth. And they're like, wow, I've never thought of it this way. I can't believe you guys. I want to hear more. This is why. This is our why.
Yeah, I think so. And the thing is what you all don't know, but you're about to learn is we used to date each other like a decade ago. So I think that makes that really interesting to hear these kinds of perspectives from two people who actually shared that kind of relationship and intimacy in the past.
So we're putting the X's in sexes.
That's it. Yeah, you see the little, there's in our logo, the red part, that would be us. We are the X's. As a part of that, trying to be clever with the logo stuff.
Because a lot of people, they can't be friends with their exes. I think a lot of times it ends badly, and sometimes, you can't. You just can't be friends with your exes. But if you can be an adult, both of you, and can have a conversation and communicate, and usually there's that cooling off period you need for like, a month, 6 months, a year, whatever it takes. And you can come back as adults and be like, hey, our time together was great. And just because we're not having sex anymore doesn't mean that we can't have a foundation of friendship, because it was great. You and I's relationship was fantastic. It didn't work out for us, but it was a journey that we did together, and now you're like family to me. And we've had such great experiences since then.
Absolutely. I think like for us, I feel like our cooling off period, like we tried to be friends like immediately after, because we were also working together at the same time. So it was like break up, but we're still kind of running this business together. Like, how do we separate all these? And it got a little messy. So then I think we took, was it like a year? I feel like it was like a year.
You moved to Hollywood to become an actress. And then I think we started talking, and I said that I was getting into a polyamorous relationship with an ex-girlfriend that I had ran off to Vegas and got married when I was 21. And you thought that was crazy. You thought that was crazy that I was doing that, because you had been monogamous and married when I first met you. And that's how we kind of started talking again, was about that stuff. But we were always good at that, though. We were always good at, like, I remember when I first met you, you would finish my sentence and I'd finish your sentences. We do movie quotes all the time. So it made sense that we would always be friends.
We worked for the same company, and we started with a friendship first, and the conversation was always just so easy. And I think Lexx was the first man that I actually had who like asked me like really deep, important questions. I think before that, like, I was in my 20s. Like, what do people know about conversation in your teens and 20s? Not a whole lot, but there was just something there that was like so much deeper. And so I believe we started our foundation on a friendship and conversation. So that has kind of been, our foundation from the beginning. And then once we broke up, we took that time apart. I remember you were like, oh yeah, by the way, I'm polyamorous. And I was like, you're insane. That is absolutely crazy. No way. Also, I'm going to come over and let's talk about it.
That's funny. I remember, like, I don't know how much time it was, maybe a year later, you texting me or calling me because I remember I was in Dublin. I was walking my dog,
Mhm,
and you're like, "Hey, I'm on Tinder, and there's this guy that's married, and he's polyamorous.
mhm,
I don't know if I should swipe right and try it." And I'm like, "You only live once, and you don't know how it's gonna feel. You might love it. You might hate it, but give it a shot, see what happens." So it's funny that like you were so I remember you came to me, you're like, it's crazy that you're doing polyamory. Like, who are you? Christian private schools, monogamy is all you knew, all this stuff, and now you're going like polyamory. And just for all you listeners out there, if you don't know what that word means, poly, if you break down the word poly, being multiple and amory being love, it's having multiple loving relationships. So like
mhm,
I could have one girlfriend, two girlfriends, three girlfriends, but they're not hookups. It's not, it's, there's a big difference between being open and being poly. Being open, if you're in a relationship, usually you have a partner and then you have a relationship and then you could have additional partners, but they don't have any hierarchy like you do in your relationship. Whereas in polyamory, traditional polyamory, you have multiple relationships and there's no technical hierarchy in the traditional sense of polyamory. Just so we're clear on what that word means. So I was going from monogamy to polyamory, which was wild. And it was a little wild for me at the time. I thought, who am I? And I had to do my own research on YouTube to figure out what even that word meant and what
mhm.
it meant to be a man in a polyamorous relationship, and how to manage my feelings and all a bunch of stuff we're going to get into another episodes, I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those things where it sounded so crazy because we were monogamous. I think, the way we were raised, both raised in more religious homes, like we were following the traditional trajectory of a monogamous relationship when we dated. So to hear polyamory, which was I don't think I truly understood what it was. Like when we had those initial conversations, I think I just came at it from like, wow, that's crazy, but also tell me more. Like, how does this
Yeah.
work? You know?
And just so everyone knows too, we were together for about 4.5, 5 years. So it wasn't like a 6 month or a year. We were together for quite some time. In fact, Monroe was my longest relationship to date. Back when I was 26, and I think you were 23 at the time.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, just to give context.
Yeah. I always remember how old you were because of that one birthday where you had the sash. And I said that very embarrassing thing to your mom.
Oh no, you should just say it
Should I tell the story? Okay. So,
a little bit. Yeah.
we went on this like wine trip in Southern California, and um he had some girlfriends who make like these really pretty sashes, and his sash said 27 bitches. And out of context, you might think 27 bitches, like, yeah, I'm 27 years old. However, um his mom had asked me what 27 bitches meant, and she was like, is that how many girls he slept with? And my response was, no, it's way more.
Oh my gosh. Keep in mind, like, so like at this time period, me and my best friend, we were always renting like a big party bus with stripper poles in it for our birthdays to go wine tasting in Temecula. And so imagine like 30 people, 40 people in this bus filled with stripper poles, and we're all drinking not wine, we're drinking like vodka on the way up to the wineries.
Mhm.
And everyone's drinking. So my mom was there, and they're having a good time. And then everyone's kind of getting tipsy even before we get to the wineries. And
But that's literally how I remember how old you were when we started dating, because I'm like, oh, it's around 27 because of yeah, my quick-witted response to that question.
yeah,
Yeah, definitely a lot of vodka was involved, and my filter was gone. So I just answered the question quite honestly. Luckily, like, your mom is incredible, and she just laughed it off, and yeah. But anyway, that was a little side note, but yeah, I think I do remember calling you and being like, "Hey, I'm thinking about polyamory," and look at us now. Like, I am still polyamorous.
A good distinction to talk about too is like with relationships, we always feel like we have to go one direction.
Mhm.
Like we're raised monogamous and we have to go and do monogamy because that's what society tells us to do. When dating is not like that, it's not a straight line. It's crazy, it's messy, it's amazing, it's exciting, it's horrible, it's all these things. And so it doesn't have to be just monogamy. It can
Mhm.
be open, it can be bi, it can be whatever you want it to be. Try it all so that you know.
Mhm.
It's like look, with the same thing with like religions. Try them all so you can go back to the religion that you feel is right for you. Try dating all different types of ways so you can go back to the one that feels right for you, not the one that society tells you is right, which, let's look at the statistics on monogamy. It's like fucking horrible.
Mhm.
So, and I'm still a firm believer of monogamy. I'm a firm believer of all relationship structures. It's just which one is right for you, and that doesn't mean it's right for you forever. It's just right for you right now, or the people that you're dating. So,
Absolutely.
my tangent.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think that a lot of times people come to the table with people that are polyamorous and they think you hate monogamy. I don't hate monogamy at all. Actually, I think it's a very valid relationship structure. I have found happiness in many monogamous relationships that I've been in. So it's exploring all of that and figuring out what works for you and what works for your partner as well. Um
Hmm.
I've gone back and forth between monogamy and polyamory. So I did monogamy and then polyamory, and then I did monogamy again for like another 4 years in two different relationships I was in during that time. And then I came back to polyamory. Um, there's a word, it's called ambiamorous, which I think encompasses all of it. I don't know.
Yeah, 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 yeah. You were monogamish for some of those monogamy relationships, weren't you?
The last two that I was monogamous in, there was talk of potentially opening up the second relationship, but I think our foundation was so crushed at that point that in order to open it up, we just needed something stronger to be able to work from, and it just wasn't there. At least for me. It's all a journey. It's all a journey, Like I think sexuality has been a journey for me as well. A little background on like my journey in that realm is uh I was married and I had only been with that one person until I got divorced. So when I met Lex, he was only my second partner ever, which is wild to think about in my mid 20s.
And you were married at the time that we met.
Yep.
Like when you started working at that company, and I was a consultant there, you were in a toxic relationship with your partner, and you're married at the time at being
Hmm.
23, and it was kind of a horrible situation, but you didn't even realize how bad it was. I remember me and the owner of that company and Jew, we go out to lunch. I'd come up every Tuesday,
Hmm.
and the company was
Taco
based in Temecula,
Tuesday.
Taco Tuesday, and me and the owner would talk to Monroe about life and whatever. And the owner was like, 30 years older than us. He had two or three kids. Like he was Christian, married. He did all the things.
Hmm.
And so we'd hear from Monroe like, "Oh, I'm not allowed to have friends." And we're like, "Um, why?" And then I think and correct me if I'm wrong, this is also like 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Um, but like or 15 years ago. But like she would say, or you did say, well, my husband thinks that having friends, girlfriends, means that they just want to go out and hook up with other guys. And so that means that other guys are going to try to hit on me, and I don't need to have other men in my life. So I don't need to have girlfriends that are single or girlfriends,
Hmm.
period. And I'm like, what? Really? You can't, I mean, you can have friendships outside of your marriage, and that's totally fine and it can be totally healthy. But this sounds like you're a slave and you don't even realize it. You would tell me, yeah, marriage is hard, like it's
Hmm.
tough, and we're Christian, and so we can't divorce because that's kind of what we believe, but we're just going through the motions because it's difficult. I'm like, this is this is beyond difficult. This is just wrong. But I didn't say that to her
Mm-mm.
just to say that because I didn't want to. I knew you needed to get there on your own. And so when I met her, we didn't start like dating immediately because she was married. I didn't want to cross those boundaries at all.
Mhm.
Um, but me and the owner would take Monroe out for lunch, and we just continue to hear stories, and we'd just be like, huh, okay, maybe rethink that because this is how we've had relationships, or the
Mhm.
business owner would be like, this is how our marriage is. And so it was interesting when we first met.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I truly at that time, I just thought marriage was supposed to be hard. You know, my example of marriages around me was they're hard and they end, and I didn't want that for myself. I wanted to like make it work. And I was like so dedicated to making it work that I wasn't seeing that I was actually being abused in that relationship. Like I would there was just like blinders up. So I was like, yeah, of course I'll not have friends. Of course I'll not talk to men. Of course I'll, do whatever he wanted, but there was always just something else that he wanted me to sacrifice for the longevity of the relationship, not realizing that like there it was never going to be enough. There was never anything there was like no end to it. I would say there's a bucket that had a hole in it. Like every time I put something in, it just fell out. So he would just need more. And I would just keep giving and giving and giving. And it just keeps falling out the hole. And so I couldn't, I couldn't win. I was just so focused on not getting divorced that I was totally blind to um, all of the crap that I was being fed on a regular basis. And that's how systematic abuse works. It happens slowly and systematically, and you're just so focused on trying to make things work, you miss stuff. And it's
Yeah,
yeah, that
and I
was
think
that was where it was.
over time, over the course of like 2 or 3 months, me and the owner and Monroe every Tuesday, you started to, because you didn't have any friends, so you weren't getting any
Mhm.
outside influence on what what is healthy and what's not. And so when you started working at that company, we would say, "Oh, well, that's interesting. That's not really how we've ever thought of
Mhm.
things or done things or how we currently do things." And it started to kind of change your opinion, I feel like, on your relationship with your marriage with your husband at the time, um,
Absolutely.
at 23. So, which is young, especially nowadays.
Mhm.
Um, so, like because of that, you decided to separate, and which was horrible because he was just toxic. Like, you should go into it a little bit because I think it gives context into our relationship as far as why we ended up blending together because of how bad your relationship was.
Yeah, I mean, I won't get into like the depths of the abuse, but once I decided to leave, um, he made it his life mission to try to ruin my life at that point. And like he had been to the office where we worked before, so he was very certain that it was the people in the office that turned me against him. So like that was part of it where it was like these people don't have your best interests in heart and they turned you against me, and that's why I didn't want you to have a job and work, and that's why women belong in the home, just like a lot of that like wow stuff started coming out, and I could see it. Once I was like removed from it, I could see it. So it was like that, and then like harassing phone calls. We had to get restraining orders because he was like looking up our online activity and trying to like insert himself in every aspect that he could. Like it was so bad.
I own lots of different domain names, and you register those domain names with an address. And so at the time, like privacy on domain names wasn't as popular as it is today. And so he did a whois lookup and saw my address for, and like I started buying domains when I was 14, so I still had my parents' address there.
Hmm.
And he started giving like threats on my phone, on my voicemail, saying that he's going to come over and harm my family. And and it just continued to get more and more aggressive from there. And I think you and I, we bonded through that trauma that we were both going through him. Unfortunately, that's the way it had to go down.
Hmm.
But because of that, we got closer together.
Yeah, what a shitty way to like bond. Like I feel like, I still carry a lot of guilt when it comes to all of that because I'm the reason that that person was like hurting people that I love, or like, he didn't actually like physically hurt anybody, but all of that ugliness and nastiness that surrounded it was because of me. And I think a lot of times I stayed because I didn't want this to happen, and then it was unfolding in real time on people that I cared about. Like I cared about Lex at that time, and my own family and his family and the people I worked with. So it was like this whole shitstorm essentially of like craziness. But we got through it. I think that's the big thing, where it was like Lex was there and understood what was happening, and so many conversations and talking it through, and connections that were shared with me so that I could also get through it. It was a horrible, horrible experience, but something that brought us together and built, again, this foundation of caring and friendship and love that even then maybe we weren't saying I love you, but like the action was there. And up to that point I hadn't really experienced that, like our boss and Lex being people who actually gave a shit about my opinions, about, they believed in me. I didn't. My partner did not believe in me. It was always a thing of like what I'm doing wrong, or how I'm deficient, or how I'm female. Like all of these things were stacked against me. And here were two men that came into my life that like believed I could. And so I was able to. And that's like so monumentally powerful. And I think that's a huge part of like why I will always be connected to Lex for the rest of my life. Like it's a no-brainer. It's family. It is in all of the best ways. Like that will always be a connection. And to bring it full circle with polyamory, I don't have to account or make excuses or cut any of that level of friendship with Lex and also maintain my relationships. I think that's been a struggle in monogamy because of how deep I have with my friendships. Then I have to like make excuses for it or spend less time with my male friends, for example, if I'm dating another man. Like it can cause tension sometimes, and polyamory has provided that freedom of never having to explain my relationships or like weigh them any differently. I feel like they're all kind of like on this even playing field. And that's been part of the beauty of that kind of evolution and discovery for myself. I don't know if you've experienced that too, but definitely a thing.
Not, I mean, if a woman comes to me and I'm dating her and she's like, I think you still have feelings for Monroe,
Mhm.
I will tell her, you don't know me very well. So you can go.
Mhm.
You can just go now because I don't want to spend time with someone who doesn't want to really get to know me or doesn't know me at all, anyways.
Mhm.
Great, we had sex and that was fun and all that stuff, but are you really getting to know the people that I care about, or is your jealousy and your own insecurities pouring out of you in a disgusting way that I don't want to be a part of anymore?
Yeah.
Because that's what that is, right? I love Monroe to this day, and you are family to me.
Mhm.
If someone feels threatened by that, they can go. They can just leave the room, leave my sphere of influence. Because I'm going to choose you 110% of the time over anybody else. That's like saying, well, I'm going to get rid of my family because I
Right.
care about you so much when they haven't done anything wrong.
Mhm. That and
So,
that's a big thing. That's like it is huge. Like at this point, I'm like it's almost a conversation on first date for me at this point in my life, where I'm like, I have very deep relationships with men. Does that bother you? And if their answer is yes, bye. Like, see ya. because uh, what I know to be true is like relationships, they come and go, but my friends, they're pretty ride or die. And to give that up doesn't make any sense to me for a romantic relationship. To me, I would not weigh my romantic relationship over my friendships. In fact, I'm very much in love with all of my friends that I have. And like that's not going to change. So it's trying to find people that can accept it. And if they can't, they're just not compatible.
Plus, also, like, it's funny because I just got into this conversation with a older woman here at the hotel that I'm in, and I was talking about our story a little bit, and she's like, "Well, do you think there's any kind of way for you guys to come back?" And I'm like,
Mm.
"Well, one, I think of Monroe as like family, so I'm not gonna fuck my sister, for one. Um, but
Fair. That's fair.
for two, I feel like sometimes in relationships you find reasons why you're in it, and it always
Mm.
happens post, right? It always happens after the fact.
Mhm.
It's 2020 hindsight, right? 2020 vision hindsight. And so, like, what I've come to realize about our relationship as far as my role in it was that I played a very significant role of getting you out of something so toxic
Mhm.
and putting you into a position where you could grow into this beautiful person that you are today. Because the girl that I met when you were 23 is a lot different than the girl that you are today. I mean,
Mhm.
1,000 miles apart. And it doesn't have to be like, oh, do we need to revisit it again? I cherish our friendship now, and I wouldn't want to
Mhm.
lose that over, needing to reintroduce sex again into the relationship. You
Right.
know, I love our relationship, and it doesn't need to be defined any other way. I don't need to go back to it again. I love the relationship that we currently have, and
Mhm.
I realized that like my role in that was to get you from where you were to where you are today. And I don't need to have any kind of selfishness of like, well, what did I get out of it? You know,
Yeah.
like at that time. But in truth, I got a lot out of it because I got this amazing friend that I'm going to have for the rest of my life. Someone who is my ride or die as well, as much as I
Mhm.
am for you.
Mhm.
And someone who's, been there for a lot of things that I needed.
Mhm.
You've had a lot of your struggles and in the past where I've helped even after we broke up, some dark alleys that you've been down, literally.
Uh, yeah, truly.
Um, but like out of everything, like I gained an amazing person in my life for the rest of my life. And so sometimes when we have these relationships, we need to justify them in some way, I guess. And like
Mhm.
that was the reason why that we met, and that's the reason why we're still together to this day. I think
Yeah.
now we're sharing
Absolutely.
our story.
Yeah, that's it, and like for me, love evolves and changes, but it doesn't just go away in some connections, like our love might not be romantic love anymore, but that family, that friendship is so important. Like I truly don't know where I would be today without Lex's friendship. Like hands down. Who the heck knows? Would I still be married to that awful man? Oh, God, that would be terrible. But you just don't know. And all of the other things that have happened in life, it's just yeah, I think that my friendship and my relationship back then with Lex taught me that men can be kind. They can be. And they can be kind simply because it's in their nature to be kind. It's not forced. It's something, that he and our boss at the time offered to me without any strings. I think that's the biggest thing is like up to that point with my relationship, it was always like there was a string attached if there was any kind of kindness or favor, or I was always in debt. And that was never the case. And that's continued to be the story of our friendship is like rewiring that for me that Lex has never been my friend because of all this benefit. If anything, I think I've probably benefited more from our friendship than he has from our friendship, you know? But it's never been this thing of like, I'm just your friend because you do all these things for me. And I value that so much. And I think that's how we're able to connect and have these real conversations and love and care for each other in all of these ways. That when you're asking someone like us who have this kind of friendship, and again, there's no romance to it, we're not having sex, it's like purely friendship, two people that genuinely love each other and are connected in this world. When you ask us to sever that for a relationship, there's just no way. There's no way. Not going to happen. Which is controversial. Even that topic. Can men and women be friends? Yeah, they can. Absolutely.
They can. It is rare. And we're going to talk about that because like I had a discussion recently about this actually, which I think that most times they can't. But we're going to save that for another conversation.
That's a whole episode in and of itself, I think.
Yeah.
Just like I've had the discussion so many times now because of our relationship and what it is, and yeah, and you know, it's a whole episode on its own. But yeah, so like let's bring it back to let's talk about you. I feel like we talked about me a ton.
Well,
Like
my dating history. Well, I'll talk a little bit about my dating history, I guess. When I was 5, I had my first boner. No.
that's taking it way back.
Actually, it is funny. I did have my first boner at 5. I I was on the playground and I might have been 4. It was 4 or 5. It was young. And I
Mhm.
was on the playground and I come running up to my mother and I have this boner. And my mom sees it and she immediately turns around because she doesn't want to laugh at me and give me a complex. And so she turns around and she's like, "Hey, honey," and I'm like, "Mom, I just saw this girl," and it's like this blonde girl that I thought was cute. My mom remembers this girl because we kind of went through grades like I don't know first to third or something, and I was like, "Mom, I saw this girl on the playground, and then this happened in my pants." And my mom goes, "That's cute." And it's just like she's turned around like laughing and trying not to make eye contact with me because she doesn't want to give me this complex. And I'm like, okay. And then I just run off again with my boner back to the playground. So yeah, I got started young.
That's it. Mhm.
Um, yeah, I grew up Christian private school, so like kind of monogamy and that framework was what I knew. Um, and I had a variety of monogamy relationships growing up. and then I met Monroe when I was 26, and and I had some crazy prior to that, prior to meeting you, I had some crazy relationships. Like, I mean, the one of the more funny stories was when I was 21. I had been seeing this girl on and off for like 2 years, and she she told me I was 21. She was 21 as well. She told me that she was getting married. And I'm like, what are you doing? I know you, and this guy is horrible for you. You know, you told me that he used to do gangbangs with all of his water polo boys, and you want to marry this guy? And this was like the year prior. Like, has a lot changed? And he was foreign. Um, and there's like a whole nother topic about that. Not that there's anything wrong dating foreign, but it's just like at that time you're young, you don't know anything. And and so we go out, we go shopping a little bit, and so she's shopping for like boots or whatever, and we end up grabbing a drink and grabbing lunch, and then that turns in drinking a little bit more, and then so we're getting like a little bit loose, and I'm like, what are you doing with your life? Like, why you're gonna marry this guy? You're just trying to please him. You're a people pleaser. You're always trying to please people.
Mm.
You're the funny one, and you're pretty, and so people like you, and you want to please everyone. Don't say yes to this. And so we just kept drinking. We ended up going to Sharky's in Huntington Beach, and they at the time, I think they still do, but they do these fish bowls, and they literally you can't order one for one
Mhm.
person. Like they'll
Mm-mm.
ask you how many people are in your group and you have to be at least 2 or more. But you just lie. And then they give it to you anyways. It's like, yeah, those are my people. You just point to a bunch of random people and they'll just give you a fishbowl. And a fishbowl is like basically pure alcohol. It's blue, it's full of sugar. It's probably like 5,000 calories, and you will have a heart attack if you're like over 50 and have one of these. So we're drinking this together. I think we are on our second one when more of my friends show up at Sharky's. Now it's like 1:30, 2 o'clock at night in the morning. And I was like, I've always loved you, like blah, 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 like pouring my heart out like a little puppy dog. And she goes, my dad is just, he's always, he's treats you like a son. He's loved you so much. Like, why don't we get married? And I say, I've always loved you, and I think that's a great idea. Let's go do that. So from, so from, so they close the bar at 2. They're like, kick us out. We're not even finished with our third Shark Bowl. They close the bar. We are like, we're getting married. That's it. All drunk and stumbling out of the bar. We're getting married. So we decide, I'm like on my phone, or, I don't even know if smartphones were a thing then.
I
I
feel
think I
like
got
they
on my phone.
probably weren't.
Maybe,
Well, at least
maybe,
no
I don't
like
know.
internet access. Like
Yeah.
you're
I
not
had to
Googling things necessarily, but you can.
fucking,
We had
I
texting.
had to hear the AOL dial-up going. Which sidebar? It's closing. AOL is closing like
It
next
is
week or something forever, which
end of an
that brings
era.
back memories. I know,
End of
end of
an
an era.
era.
Anyways, I digress. Um, and so get back to the house, just schmammered, and order tickets to Vegas for
Yes.
5 a.m. Like literally the earliest flight we could get. So
Mhm.
5 a.m. and it was 2. So we enough time to like pack bags and go. And she was all for this. And I was like, if you were gonna, I remember thinking and telling her and asking her, like, you just said yes to this guy. You're basically engaged. And she's
Mhm.
like, you're right. He's not the right one for me. You are. And so so we fly to Vegas and get married that night. hmm And as the story goes, we were married for 6 weeks. So
6 weeks. It's a good
a
run.
wonderful, beautiful 6 weeks. It taught me a lot. So, and funny enough, that same girl, her and I have had 3 chapters over the course of my life, and it happened like every 5 years. So that was 21. We had another chapter when I was 26, and then our final chapter when I was 31. And each one of those was horrible and great all at the same time.
Mhm.
We've closed the book. There's no more chapters. We've gone past the 5 year mark for the next chapter. So there's just it's not going to happen. We're 2 different people. I love her to death, but we're just not compatible. So, but she was the one in that final chapter that brought me into polyamory. So
Mhm.
I was like 31, I think, at the time, and she was in a relationship with, and I was been monogamous at this point. I mean, you and I had ended, and then I was on Tinder and doing that, and I was not getting any matches because the whole dating app situation is like you got to be like a 9 or a 10 to go on there. Like I think
Or a
it's
woman.
yeah.
Gotta be a 9 or a 10 as a man, or just female.
I'm sure we're gonna have a whole pod about dating apps, but like
Yeah.
they're just fucking horrible, and they will never get better because of the nature of how they work. Um, so I was trying to do that, and I was not having any success. And she called me, and she wanted to meet on the beach, and so we did. And then we made it casual, and she's like, I was like, let's just casually, let's just do this casually. It's fun, right? Let's just, we've done this a couple of times already. And she agreed. She's like, yeah, let's just keep this casual. And then casual turned into feelings, as
Mhm.
typically it happens. She's like, hey, I want to like have something more serious with you, but um I'm polyamorous. I'm like, oh, cool. What's that? I
What does
have
that
no
mean?
idea what that word means. I had never heard it before. And so I was like, pause this conversation. I'm going to go on YouTube for a couple of days and research what polyamory is because I have no fucking clue what this word means. And so I did, and I came back with like a PhD in polyamory, like lingo, because I had no idea what the fuck it was about. And I watched all these people talk about polyamory. And then we got on the phone and she's crying because she's like really wanting to do this with me. And I'm like, I was just so on the fence because it was so outside my comfort zone. Being, my religious background and then also just only knowing monogamy. And the social pressures of like, monogamy is the only way and you got to do it this way. And this is the box that we always need to be in
Mhm.
relationships, which is like monogamy or nothing. And so I was really fighting against that. I was like, this doesn't feel like normal.
Mhm.
Um, and I was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna do it because if anything, I'm gonna learn a lot. And I did it, and it was amazing. It was the relationship itself ended, um, mostly because I feel like she had a lot of work on herself to do to be in a polyamorous relationship. But that is the thing with polyamorous relationships is that it teaches you a lot about yourself. You think that having multiple relationships is like the win. That's great, but
Mhm.
you learn so much about yourself being in a polyamorous relationship. I tell my guy friends, I was like, you should try it because one of the biggest aspects of being in a poly relationship is for men, we're not taught very well how to communicate at all.
Facts.
Men are shown to, we have the whole toxic masculinity side of things. But just growing up, men need to be strong, silent, go to work, do all this stuff, but not communicate. We're the
Mhm.
hard workers and we're the bread earners in the traditional sense. But women are the more emotional, cerebral types in the relationship. And because of that, they usually communicate a lot better, or at least they just blurt out all their emotions, good or bad. Like at least they're
Right.
communicating it, right? Maybe not effectively, not all the time, but like they're doing it. Whereas men, we're not taught to communicate. We're not taught to talk about our feelings.
Mhm.
We're not taught to do all this to communicate well with our partners. To sit down and not communicate with a loud voice, or to not sit in our feelings for a little bit so that we can communicate what we're thinking in a way that our partner will hear us.
Mhm.
So I uh, I learned so much about how to communicate with my partner because when you're forced into situations where Tuesday's coming up and my partner has a date with John and I have no date and I'm gonna sit home and stew in my emotions, and
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm jealous.
Mm.
I feel threatened. I feel
Mm.
emotional about this. And then it's like, well, why am I feeling this way? Why do I feel threatened? Why do I feel jealous? Jealousy is your own insecurities about yourself.
Mhm.
And
Uh,
so, you
yeah.
go ahead. No, no, you're going to say something.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, polyamory has taught me how to sit with my own shit, and it is difficult. And the stuff that you're feeling, the jealousy, all of that is all cultivated inside of you. It's not necessarily your partner. I think in monogamy, we're taught, or at least it's believed that like our partner is making us jealous. You're making me jealous. But in polyamory, you have to sit with it and go, I'm jealous. Why am I jealous? What is the root of like where this jealousy is coming from? And you usually discover that it's shit inside of you that has actually nothing to do with your partner, but things that you want that you're denying yourself, or communication you just haven't spoke to your partner. And it's such a revelation. It hurts, it's uncomfortable, but like the revelation, if you listen to it, wow, it's it's powerful.
Women have different reasons for their jealousy. But for men, like if you see your woman going to a on a date with another guy, or knowing that they're going to do that, so you start thinking all this stuff, right? Like, oh man, he's got a bigger dick than me. He makes more money. He's more articulate with how he's
Mhm.
spoken. He's over 6 feet tall. He drives a nicer car. Like, she's just gonna like him more. And I will
Mhm.
tell guys, I'm like, one, you can't control her. You're never gonna control somebody, so you just can't do that. Two, what you can control is yourself. So
Yep.
if you feel like this person makes more money, then why don't you work on that? why don't you work on making more money? If that's an
Mhm.
insecurity that you have, if he drives a nicer car, why don't you work on getting a nicer car? If he has a bigger dick than you potentially, you can't necessarily fix that,
Yeah.
but you can work on being a better lover
Mhm.
and getting inside of her, not in the literal sense, but in the emotional sense. So all these emotions of feeling jealousy, like I've worked on it so much when I was in that polyamorous relationship that I don't feel threatened by another woman because I know, or another man, when
Mhm.
if a girl that I'm with goes out with another man, or if she's cheating on me or whatever, because I bring so much to the table that I don't. If she wants to go with somebody else,
Mhm.
that's okay. You do that. You go. There's other girls in the sea. There's other things that I can do. I don't need to have someone in my life like that. And like that was so important for me to understand how to communicate with myself, all
Mhm.
these things. And I think, again, going back to men not being taught how to communicate very well, polyamory taught me a lot of that. Now, do I think polyamory is the right relationship for everything? No, I don't. Do I think
Mhm.
open? Do I think monogamy? I don't, like I said before, I don't think any of it is the right way. I think it's right for you and how it is right now for you and your partner.
Mhm.
But I'm just telling you from my personal experiences being in that relationship that it did teach me a lot of how to communicate. So when I was feeling jealous, I would go, "Hey, partner, I'm feeling jealous," or "Hey, I I feel like you're not giving me enough for me to not feel jealous. Like
Mm.
maybe you're spending a lot more time with John, and you're seeing him 4 days a week, and I only get 1 day with you.
Mhm.
And when you are with me, you're texting a lot, or you're not present,
Yep.
or you're working. And so I'm feeling jealous because of these things. If you start giving me more of your time and you start being more present, then that jealousy will start to dissipate. But now I understand these feelings. I'm trying to articulate that back to you. So this is all part of like this communication process that I work through being in a polyamorous relationship, which I think was just crucial for men. Um,
Mhm.
so if you don't do it or get it from being in a poly relationship, definitely work on it. And there's plenty of books, and now you can just talk to ChatGPT about it. Um,
It's true.
but yeah, so like that is a little bit of my journey, and we'll get into like more in depth stuff of my past and relationships and like my current dating life and stuff. Which right now I'm single, and my last 2, 3 relationships have been open, which comes with its own sets of challenges
Mhm.
and amazing stuff as well. So yeah, that's a lot about my history in the last 20 years of seriously dating.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I feel like at this juncture in my life, I've been perpetually dating most of my adult life at this point, and it's taught me a lot. And I think that's what we're bringing to the table here is having those open and honest discussions and getting into the nitty-gritty of it as well, because I'm going to tell you right now, I'm talking about like polyamory and how I've done this. I have messed up a lot of relationships, uh being a poor communicator, letting jealousy take over, trying to be controlling. There's ugly parts of this too that I'm uh would love to share insights on now that I'm out of those things, being like, this is a pitfall and here's how you get through it.
Yeah, I mean, when you were, I mean, you're sober now, but when you were drinking and all that other stuff, you you ruined a lot of relationships as well because of
Oh,
that.
yeah, let me tell you. There was a whole span between Lex and me, and by the time I got sober, which I was in my early 30s, I've been sober 6 years now. Uh boy, boy was there a lot that happened in that amount of time.
A lot too. Let's not take what I had to do lightly.
Yeah. Yeah, Lex had to deal with a lot of my shenanigans during that
Couch
period as
twice.
well. Huh?
I said you peed on my couch twice.
I'm pretty sure it was more than that, but I'll take 2.
Dark, like I
I'll say
said,
it was only 2.
dark times. They were dark times.
Yeah, but it's like it's this thing of like we're just all trying to figure out as we go. I think that's what I've learned about adulthood and dating and friendships and all types of relationships is we're all just kind of figuring it out as we go along. We all have history with certain things and it's figuring out how to communicate. Like Lex was saying, for men, you're just not taught the same way. Male friendships and female friendships are different. I was watching a clip, I think it was Jane Fonda was talking about it, where women sit facing each other and men sit side by side. And that is such a strong visual of how we're taught to communicate, right? So figuring out how to bridge that gap with your male partner can be a struggle, you know, like helping them get through that, helping them communicate. I also saw something recently that was like, when you ask a man who his best friend is and he has a wife, he usually says his wife. And women don't say that because they actually have best friends a lot of the times with their female friends. And so it's like there's such a divide there, but I think it's changing. I do. I think it's changing and it pulls it back to like I want my male partners to have female friends because I think it's so valuable. I think it teaches them how to communicate and it helps. And having relationships teaches and helps in the same way that it helps women communicate with men too, because we're speaking different languages sometimes where it's like my jealousy is rooted in so many other different things. You know, like you heard Lex talk about, oh, like he makes more money, has a bigger dick, has a better car. Those aren't the things that I'm jealous of another woman. Her body's better than mine. Maybe she just has a better personality than I do. Her hair's better. She dresses better than me. Like the things are rooted all in jealousy and telling us like things about ourselves, but they're different. And so if I say I'm jealous, it needs to be I'm jealous and this is why. Like I'm jealous and this is what it means for me, and opening up those lines of communication, because otherwise it's just like, you know, a complete divide on what that even means, and oh, you're just trying to control me, and that gets to be messy.
which I'm sure we're going to get into another other
uh
podcast.
yeah, we've been keeping a notepad of episode ideas for the last what, since COVID, since the beginning of COVID, I would say.
And to give context about this show, this is not the first time we've
No.
tried to launch this thing. So if you're hearing this, if you're actually listening to this, it means that we actually did it, because we have done this like during COVID and we shot 4 episodes and they are now sitting in digital dust
Mhm.
because they're not going to get used, because now they're it's 4 years ago, 5 years ago. It doesn't. The one was about COVID masks and dating. Like it doesn't even make sense anymore to launch that. So if you're hearing this, you're lucky. You're one of the lucky ones. We did it.
We did it.
So also, if wherever you're hearing this, whatever platform, I'm sure there's a way to DM us or message us. If you have questions for us, whether it be about our relationship, current or past, or your current relationship, and you want to have us talk about it on one of our podcasts, we would love to hear from you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's where we're headed, is that we don't want it to just be the Lex and Monroe show. We want this to be a two-way conversation, become involved, ask questions, and we're here to kind of field those. I will say that I am also queer and kinky. So please go ahead and send through those types of questions in addition to relationship structures. I can also talk about that aspect of dating and relationships, which is really interesting and has also been a journey in addition to polyamory, monogamy, and sobriety. So lots of things.
Nothing that would surprise us as far as something you can ask. We have either both been a part of something, or one of us has at least, in almost any type of relationship structure, and like whether it be in the bedroom or communication, like just anything around people and dating and life, we've probably been a part of. So like, bring it on.
That's also, if you can hear the barking, I don't know if the sound will edit it out, but that is Django.
My dog. My
He,
dog travels with me.
the most world traveled dog, I feel like at this juncture, lives the
He
best
just
life.
he just had his 11th birthday. His name is Django. He has been to 17 countries with me. Yeah,
17.
I mean, I wanna come back as my dog and just live off of, room service and travel the world. He's clearly adding to this conversation.
He's part of it as well. He's part of the fam. I always say my cat has the life that I want because he just gets to like chill and I pay all the bills. So, our pets are lucky, or we're lucky
Yeah,
to have them, truly. Like at the
we
end of
are
the
lucky.
day, we don't deserve pets sometimes, humanity, but we've been gifted them. And uh, definitely, my cat is not here, so I can't lift him up. Also, he would severely object to me lifting him up to be on camera, but know that he exists. And yeah, that's that's
Okay,
that.
I think that's the pod.
Yeah, that's us. That's us. That's our kind of what we're looking to do with the Sexes podcast. It's going to involve you. So definitely write to us. Yeah, so reach out to us. I'm sure there's going to be a variety of ways to be able to do that, because we're making this for you. So ask your
All right, guys.
questions.
Yeah,
We'll see you on the next episode.
catch you on the flip side.
That's it for today's episode. Subscribe, rate, and review wherever you're listening, and follow us on socials for more real talk off the mic. You can also visit us online at thesexespodcast.com to submit your stories and questions. Keep exploring love, dating, and everything in between.